Hello, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center. It's time for Taroscopes again. This is the Taroscopes for the sign of Aries. That's Aries Sun, Aries Moon, or Aries Rising for the month of October. And as always, the Aries reading is because Aries is the start of the zodiac. This is also can be a reading for everyone, more a collective reading as well. So if you're want to keep that in mind as we move forward. So let's take a look and see what's going on. First, astrologically. All right, so we have some visual aids this month. I've made up this chart for Aries, and we have all the planets where the planets are this month. We start with the sun in the sign of Libra. And Libra, of course, is your opposite sign. And so it deals with your relationships to other people. The sun in Libra illuminates. And so relationship becomes a focus for you at this time. Of course, Aries is very independent and you sort of like, I want to do my own thing. But of course, we need people as well, which Aries realize after they've run in a few walls, perhaps it's a good idea to know a nurse or two who can put a few stitches in the old noggin. Um, and so this is an illumination around the people in our lives, the things that we're in relationship to. Then the sun moves into Scorpio as it does every October. That happens on the 23rd this year. And we move into the eighth house. And the eighth house is also a relationship house, but it's a different level of relationship. The seventh house is the idea of relationship. It's a Libra house, so it's about the idea, Libra, and the ideal. And then we get to the Scorpio house, and this is when the rubber meets the road. In Scorpio, this is when we share our feelings and our emotions. This is also where we share our bodies, our bodily fluids. This is the energy of merging. And so this is a time when you are looking at and things that are being illuminated are issues around the things that you share with a partner, whether it be money or home or whatever it is, whatever you share with others. There's a highlight to that. Now, of course, Mercury is also in these two houses. It's in the seventh house and in the eighth house this month, but it actually starts in the sixth house. Mercury last month was retrograde for half the month and then moved forward for the other half. Didn't actually get out of its shadow till the end of September. So now it's out of its shadow, but it's starting the month in that sixth house. So a lot of what you've had to reconsider, redo, especially around issues of work. The sixth house is a work house, but the sixth house is also a health house. So any kinds of things that you've done for your health, now you're moving forward out of that house, and hopefully you've made some good choices around that. Venus, the planet of love, was in Leo for a long time. It was retrograde for 43 days. It's been there for months. And so Venus has been in your house of love and relationship and self-expression, at times moving forward and at times moving backwards. And so there's been a reorientation, a reconsideration of creativity, of your relationships, especially if you have children. The fifth house is the house of children. Now Venus starts the month in Leo, but then quickly shifts into Virgo on the 8th of October, when Venus moving through that health house, that work house, the house of service to humanity. It's a world server house as Venus moves through. Venus is what we value and what's important to us. And so our work is important to us at this time. The work that we do for others becomes important at this time, as is our own physical health becomes important at this time. Now, for the other planets that, well, there's Mars. Let's talk about Mars before we get to the slower moving planets. Mars starts the month in Libra. It spent a lot of time in Libra, about 6 weeks it spends in Libra. And this month it moves into Scorpio, which actually you're a little bit more comfortable with. And Mars is also comfortable being in Scorpio. While Mars is in Libra, and it's been there for a while now. So it was in there, I believe, all of September. And now, as we start October, Mars actually stays in that sign until the 12th, and then it moves into Scorpio, into your 8th house. Those shared resources, shared things that you share with a partner. Mars in Scorpio is a really good energy for getting down to the bottom of things. And so it's an opportunity to get down to the bottom of things. Also financially, it can be a very good sort of forensic accounting kind of energy. So if you're on the good side of forensic accounting, this is going to be a great time for you. But if you happen to be one of those people trying to cheat on your taxes, this might be a time when you get caught, actually. So not that any of you would do that, of course, but that's sort of the energy. But Mars has been in your house of relationship in Libra. Mars is your ruling planet. It makes you, Mars in Libra makes you like have to decide. You can't just go ahead and do stuff. You have to like always, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this. So that's not particularly comfortable for Mars or for Aries. So once it moves into Scorpio, you're kind of more in your element in a way, and getting down to the bottom line of things. So that's kind of a good, that's kind of a little bit of a double-edged sword for you guys, but it's better than having Mars and Libra in your 7th house. Okay. Now the slower moving planets, all the social planets are moving backwards. Social planets would be Saturn and Jupiter. The transpersonal planets, all of those start the month moving backwards. We do have Pluto stationed direct. That occurs on the 10-10 portal, October 10th. And it shifts directions at 28 degrees of Capricorn, which just happens to be the Pluto of the United States. So there is this shift in energy with Pluto moving forward. Now, Pluto has been sitting in that 10th house of yours, the house of public standing, since 2008. So it's been there a long time. These things take a long time to move through the houses. They're very slow moving. And it's going to turn direct and move out again of Capricorn. And you would like to think like maybe that's the last time it happens. It moves into Aquarius and stays there. But actually, there's a period of time in the fall of 2024 where Pluto actually steps back into Capricorn for one last go at that last degree of Capricorn. So this story of Capricorn in your 10th house is not quite over yet. But things are going to perhaps start to move forward. So changes that you want to make in your career or in how people see you can move forward. Once that Pluto starts to move forward on the 10th. So, Jupiter is retrograde. It moves from 15 degrees to 11 degrees of Taurus. Of course, it's moving retrograde. That's why it goes 15, 14, 13, 12, 11. And that's in your house of resources. So this could be a little bit of a skinny time when it comes to resources. Jupiter tends to expand things. And sometimes when Jupiter's in that 2nd house, we overextend ourselves financially. Now, as Jupiter's moving backwards, we're sort of saying, uh-oh, maybe I should start budgeting. So this is a good time to do that kind of stuff, to budget, to see what your resources are, to not overestimate, which, Aries can be a little, not so bad, not like as overestimating as, say, Sag might be, but Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, so it doesn't always have the experience to know what's too much and what's not enough, what's too much and what's not. Usually they don't know what's too much. They don't usually go on the side of not enough. Unless, of course, you're more evolved Aries, and there are such things. I married an evolved Aries. I didn't know there was such a thing, and this sounds kind of snotty. I understand, but I didn't actually know there was something such as a higher vibrational Aries until I met one, and then I was like, wow, these are great. I love these Aries. Before that, Aries men were a little bit like, they were a little too cavemanish for me, but if you're more higher evolved Aries, you understand that sometimes you have to like back up. And this might be one of those times. We also have Saturn moving retrograde. Saturn is in Pisces. It doesn't move very much this month. It moves from one 1/2 degrees of Pisces to 1/2 degree of Pisces. Now, it moves all the way back to even a little bit further, but it never leaves Pisces. It just pretty much is staying in Pisces for about 3 years. So for you, Pisces is that 12th house. The 12th house can be your connection to source energy. It is about the dissolution of boundaries. And of course, with Saturn in the sign of dissolution of boundaries, that is a theme for all of us. But it's also your house of self-undoing. And so we have to make sure that we're not shooting ourselves in the foot, as it were, which, as an Aries, you probably have a little experience with. So we have to be careful with that. Neptune is also in that house. Neptune is retrograde. It's sitting at the 26th degree all month. Neptune usually just sits it usually doesn't go more than a degree a month, whether it's going forward or backwards. So it's pretty slow moving, but we're at that 26th degree of Pisces right now. And Neptune doesn't actually leave Pisces until I believe it's 2026 when it moves into your sign, along with Saturn. So that'll be an interesting time of our lives, so to speak. So that's kind of what's going on astrologically. Next thing we'll do is we'll take a look at, we'll do a tarot reading. And I'm going to use the Thoth deck because Aries are very courageous and they don't mind. So let's get that started. Let me stop the share here so you can see me. All right, here I am in my Aries red. Okay, let's take a look at the Thoth deck. Okay. So, oh, something I didn't mention. October is eclipse season. How could I not mention that? So, when eclipse season comes around, things get a little dicey, things get a little things change very quickly. Eclipses are like, we have evolution and it goes and it goes and it goes. But when we hit eclipses, it's like, so things happen quickly. Evolution happens quickly. Eclipses happen at the nodes of the moon, and the nodes of the moon are our karmic direction. There's actually, it starts with a new moon eclipse at 21 degrees or 22 degrees of Libra. That's in your 7th house. New moons are always about new starts, right? But this is a south node eclipse. The eclipse happens on the south node. And when that happens, there's some things that we need to release. Even though it's a beginning, it's also a releasing time. And Pluto is still square the nodes at this time, and the resolution node being that south node. So the renegotiation of relationships is definitely on the front burner. And there can be some relationships that you move out of at this time, even though it's a new moon. And then we have a full moon in the sign of Taurus, with the sun in, I think it's at 6 degrees, with the sun in Scorpio. This activates that 2nd and 8th house axis. You have a lot of energy in the 8th house this month, and of course the moon's going to be in the 2nd house. So the moon in Taurus especially is very concerned with security, especially financial security. So there's an illumination around that, with that full moon in Taurus. And incidentally, now because of where the node is, it's like one of the eclipses is not in the sign that the node's in, the Taurus Scorpio, but that's where the nodes were. So there's something about that full moon that is bringing energy back from when the nodes were in Taurus and Scorpio. So Taurus Scorpios, that nodal placement is almost done, but we have one last thing that'll come up, I think, with that. But the interesting thing about both of those eclipses, it's happening in Venus ruled signs, and Venus just came out of retrograde after 40 odd days in Leo, where we had to come face to face with our own heart, where Venus spent time in the underworld, coming to understand its value. And now Venus is the morning star in Leo, very courageous. And then, of course, it's going to move into Virgo this month. And then she rolls up her sleeves and gets to work. Because Virgo is all about fixing what's broken. Okay. We have a change of fortune, Aries. Change of fortune. So if you're on the top, you could be not, or if you're on the bottom, you could be making your way to the top. This, in the Kabbalah, this is called the conciliating intelligence. And it's really about balancing things out. You can't always be at the top. And you can't always be at the bottom. It's the blessing and the curse of living in on the circle, on the wheel of life. There it is. So there is a change of fortune. Let's see what the challenge is. Magnus is a focus. So as things change, your challenge is your ability to focus and utilize all your gifts, your intuition, your practical knowledge, your feelings, and your mind to see what's actually going on here and what to do about it. Let's see what's underneath it. We have the Strength card in this deck. It's called Lust. This is a very spiritual card and a very sensual card at that. It's a Leo energy. Remember, Venus just came out of, Venus is just coming out of her retrograde cycle in Leo. So this can be a change in relationship for you. And at the core of it is that you've come to realize that you're worth more, perhaps, than you thought you were, or you forgot to value yourself. But this is definitely part of that Venus retrograde cycle, that's sort of informing where you're going to put your energy as change happens to you. Let's see what's in the past. Well, we have happiness, the Nine of Cups. This is about your wish fulfillment. So you've had a pretty good past here with this stuff. Let's see what's in the sky. Another card of change, the Two of Pentacles. The Two of Pentacles is about balance, right? It's actually connected. If you see in this card, we have Jupiter and we have Saturn. Jupiter is a planet of expansion. Saturn is a planet of contraction. And so there's this need to sort of figure out where you're going to expand, there's a balance. There's a balance needed here. That's what Spirit is trying to tell us. Let's see what's in the immediate future. We have the Nine of Wands here. This is about healthy boundaries. This is called, in this deck, it's called Strength. It's a Sag card, Sun and Sag. This is a good card to get, because it means that you will have the strength to go through this process. You have the healthy boundaries that will help you go through this process. You have the vision that can help you go through this process. So I think October is going to be a good month for you. As I said, now that Mars is moving into that Scorpio house, you're really going to be able to get and move into Scorpio, really going to be able to get down to the bottom of things, how things are seen from the outside. We have Truce. This is a lovely card. I like these cards for you, Aries. I really do. Let's see your, so that's about that people are seeing that you're attempting the balance, that you're endeavoring to keep the balance, to be aware of the balance, because as I said, sometimes Aries just goes off and doesn't think about consequence. But you are thinking about consequence this month. Your domestic situation, we have the Eight of Cups, indolence. This is not the best card. In other decks, it's about turning your back on things that you've put a lot of energy into. There's something in your domestic situation or someone in your domestic situation that is lazy and maybe, alcoholic, drug addled, or escapist. There's this escapist tendency. Now, is this you? Or is this somebody in your house? With all the rest of the reading here, I would say maybe somebody around you more than it is you. But if it is you, you have to, what is that? Stand up and fly right, or whatever that expression is. Hopes and fears, work. I don't think you fear it. This is good work. This is the craftsmanship. This is the kind of work that gets the wheels moving and manifests things. And so you're hoping that you can perhaps manifest. Let's see what the outcome is. Again, we have the Seven of Cups, another issue with drugs or alcohol, perhaps. This is called debauchery. You really have to be, if you have an addiction, you really need to deal with it. Really need to deal with it. Let's see what else comes up. It's weird because all the other cards. So if you have an addiction and it's something that, or there's somebody in your life that's addicted to something and that's disturbing you or making your life not work in the way that you want, it's going to become very evident this month, but you have the strength to change it, whether it's you or somebody else. You can make the change, and the change is coming. You just have to make sure that you're somewhat aware and willing to and focus your energy in a direction that's going to be beneficial to you, that is in alignment with your sense of self and your sense of self-love, which is what this card really was about, the Strength card at the bottom, that Venus in Leo. Let me pull a few more. We have Eight of Wands. That's a swiftness. So once you make the decision, things change very quickly. Information comes very quickly. We have the Knight of Wands. This is a good card for you. Like this. This is on an adventure, right? Moving forward, getting ready to go on the road. So big changes. You could even find yourself moving for some reason. And we have the Victory card. So once you decide that you've had enough of whatever that is, whether it's your issue or somebody else's issue, once the decision is made, you have the power to get to the next place and to have it be a successful experience. Underneath it, we have the Princess of Pentacles. This is sort of a new project, maybe a new job, or a new creative project, a new idea that you have to put energy into. We have the Magnus. Again, I keep both magician cards in this deck. And so this talks about your ability to focus. And then we have Luxury, which is actually one of the nicer cup cards that came up in this. You know, all these like weird cup cards that came up really deal with your emotions, right? And your feelings. And so you have to sort of get them in some sort of order and see perhaps where your using it as a crutch is not helping you. But otherwise, what's underneath it is that there's really good things coming your way. You just have to make that leap, or you just have to make that decision that you're not going to have all those negative emotions getting in the way of your happiness and your life. All right. Interesting read, Aries, and everybody else. Okay. I'm going to pull now in a Spirit Animal Oracle card. This is the deck by Collette Baron-Reid. And we'll see what animal has something to say to Aries. Whoops. Everything goes flying. All right. Aries, Aries, Aries. Let's see. What animal wants to speak to you, Aries? You animal. See how it lines up with what's going on in your chart and in the reading. Oops. This is like triple threat, right? You do three things. Three's a charm, guys. Dear Spirit, bring a gentle touch. Second time I got this card. One of the earth signs got it too. I can't remember which one. Taurus, I think. Could be wrong about that. All right, dear Spirit, let's read it. Let's read it. I'm going to read from the book because it's really such good information. There is a gentleness and an innocence to deer, but deer keeps their ears out. You know, they're a prey animal, deer. And so you have to like be aware of your surroundings at all times. And they're very gentle when they sort of run away. Oh, you see them, and they're very swift, but they're very strong. Like you think deer is not like I have. This actually happened. There's a video on my channel, um, where you know, you think of deer as being sort of like, I don't know, like not particularly powerful, and then I walked in my backyard and there was this buck with like a full rack, and he was enormous. He was enormous. I've never, and he's sort of a little bit on a hill, so it was like a picture in a book, right? And I was like, and it was just the energy and the stamina and the antlers being so connected, right? It's like a network being connected. It was a very powerful experience. And so deer is quite powerful. So we can't poo-poo the deer. All right, let's see what the oracle says. It says the time has come to be gentle and diplomatic when dealing with others. Well, you've got to practice, haven't you, with that Mars and Libra? You might have found yourself in a situation where negotiations are necessary in order to reach your goal. Be mindful of the words you choose, but do not worry. Dear Spirit reminds you that you have the ability to be sure-footed and confident while showing humility and respect for others. You will find that your capacity for calm and grounded communication is heightened at this time. Follow the way of dear spirit, and you will do well, gaining the respect of others and finding common ground that is pleasing to you. Remember that understanding others and their needs will be more powerful at this time than putting your own first. If you do that, you will be rewarded tenfold. Ooh, very good. I love it. All right, dear. All right, have yourself a wonderful month, guys. Take care. Um, you could do it. You know it. Um, like and subscribe if you would. It helps the algorithm. It helps more people see this. If you think this is useful to you, it may be useful to somebody else. If you'd like to become a patron, that's also helpful. There's a link below for my Patreon. If you want a reading with me, I do astrology, Kabbalah, numerology, combination readings. I offer hour and hour and a half readings. If it's your first reading, I do prefer to have more time with you, but it's what you can afford, of course, and what you can do. It's up to you. You'll get the information that you need. And until next month, have a wonderful month. And I'll see you again for the Taroscopes for November. Take care, everyone. Namaste.